Yo, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Walkthrough Wednesday. We're going to jump back into the Fathers of Creation project. My new track with Sandro Silva goes a little bit like this. If you haven't already heard it, as you can tell, there's a lot of reverb in this track, something I'm very proud of. We managed to get away with probably the most reverb in a big room track ever. Yeah, it's a very techno-influenced track. Lots of big room, of course. You know, me and Sandro both came from like the big room sound, so it's good to kind of blend old school big room, his sound, with my new school big room techno-influenced stuff. Breakdown's a little bit different though. It's the reason why I did 2 different episodes. Today we're going to jump into the breakdown. It is very hardstyle and very trance influenced. So we've got big room and techno in the drop, hardstyle and trance in the breakdown. So yeah, before we get into that, this sample pack, all of these beautiful sounds will be available to you guys very, very soon. On Sunday, for my Patreon subscribers, you will get all of the sounds from my track Fathers of Creation with Sandro Silva. So if you want that, if you're producing this kind of music, make sure you subscribe now. If you subscribe right now, you will get the current sample pack, which I believe is Frequency. So that one will be disappearing forever very soon. So make sure you grab those sounds. Without further ado, I want to thank everybody for supporting this track. Didn't expect it to do too well on Spotify because of it being a really techno-influenced track, but it's actually streaming really well. Lots of you guys putting it in the place and stuff. So thank you so much for that. Where did this breakdown start? So as always, you know me, I always have a drop started first, and then I like to make the break around the drop. So I use influences from the drop, I use sounds from the drop to make it sound like one whole thing. I think the vocal is the thing that started it for me. I wanted to do kind of a follow-up to Rave is Our Religion, so I found a cool vocal which says basically Fathers of Creation. We named the track Founding Fathers just to be unique and different like that. But this is what the vocal sounds like on its own.
Close your eyes, can you feel the vibration? We fly so high cause we're the fallen generation. Together we rise, we set the ground foundation. It's no surprise, we are the fathers of creation.
So I took all the processing off there. I'm going to add it back on now and you'll see what I did.
Close your eyes, can you feel the vibration? We fly so high cause we're the fallen generation.
So what I did was I processed it a little bit more. We've got the little altar boy, which I don't think is doing anything. Well, there's some automation going on there. Oh yeah, so in the build-up, we'll go into the build-ups as well. But what I did was I pitched it from down. The formant was down, and I gradually brought it up to what the original formant was. So it starts really low and grumbly and kind of picks up towards the build-up. Towards the climax and the drop. We've got some reverb.
Close your eyes, can you feel the vibration? We fly so high.
Which is just the reverb I use for my drops and everything, man. I felt like this, I wanted a super wet reverb on this vocal to make it as atmospheric as possible. So it went with the Arts Acoustic. As always, you know, I always like to put my Cashmere Essentials on vocals. The reason I put it after the reverb is because I like the compression it does to the reverb. My track, I Got That Techno, is a great example of that. I can't wait to do the walkthrough of that one, because I put the Cashmere Essentials after the reverb, which creates this really cool ducking effect.
It's no surprise, we are the fathers of creation.
And it can also bring the reverb really out to the front of the mix as well, which is really, really nice. All this is just a gain booster, so I'm bringing up the volume there of the vocal itself. We've got an endless smile, which is just used for, you know, build-ups and stuff like that. We've also got a delay on there, ping pong delay.
Foundation, it's no surprise, we are the fathers of creation.
What I want to do here is really push it to the sides of the mix, like really make it super wide and super present in the actual breakdown. We've got a G tune as well because I needed to make sure it was in the right key. It is kind of a spoken word, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't too much off key, so that it would fit in the breakdown. So that is pretty much where it started. Like I was like, okay, where do we go from here? Trance is something I absolutely love. I love the emotional and energy melodies that come from trance. So that's where I started. I've gotten pretty good over the years with my trance melodies. Ever since I started doing it in my track Lion on Revealed, that's where really my love for that started. I kind of had the knack for it. So this is where it all started for me. It started with the trance pads. We have these really airy trance pads here, really dope chords as well. What I love about these, they're kind of climbing the scale. As you can see, it gets really high and emotional and euphoric towards the end. And I thought these were a perfect thing to sit underneath the vocal. We've got this hardstyle vocal. I didn't want to go for a hardstyle melody. I wanted to have some other element in there. You know, that's what I like to name my rave room kind of thing about. It's about taking all the genres that I love and putting it into one. So I think these were kind of a nice little mix together.
Close your eyes, can you feel the vibration? We fly so high cause we're the fallen generation. Together we ride.
Now the sound itself is a classic from Nexus. This is called Airwave Trance. So it's a really, really old school sound which is available to everyone. If you check your factory bank, it should be in there. In terms of the processing, we're going to roll off the lows because we don't want any low end in this sound. We want it to be nice and airy. A little presence boost in the mids. I like it to feel more full and more there because I don't have too many other elements in there. We've also got a stereo imager because I wanted to push it to the sides as much as possible. I want it to really be as wide as it can be. I don't want it to be right in the center. I just want it to be there as like an atmospheric piece. So together it sounds really nice, and it wasn't quite enough. We obviously need some low end in there. So I added a nice little respace. Thing I like about this is it's not just a sub bass. It has that mid kind of presence to it as well. It's not just a sub bass, so it provides more production and it fills the spectrum a little bit more. Got a camel crush on there, an EQ doing crazy things. I like to bring out the other parts of the bass. You know, I boost in the sub element, but I also want to bring out the mids and a little bit of the highs so it can be more clear. We made it completely mono as well because we are using the sub basses elements from it, so I wanted to make sure they are as tight as possible.
Close your eyes, can you feel the vibration? We fly so high cause we're the fallen generation. Together we rise, we set the ground foundation. It's no surprise, we are the fathers of creation.
And this, I think I could have literally got away with just that. It has the atmospheric feel. It's hitting all of the right frequencies as well. It's not sounding too thin and too basic because we're making sure, right, we've got enough low end, we've got enough of that nice sparkly stuff on top, which is the pads. We've also got the vocal doing a lot of work there. Mustn't forget, what I did was took the first word of the vocal, I went into Edison, and I basically loaded in. I can actually show you, I think. Let me find the Edison real quick. Okay, so I found the Edison where I did the reverse vocal. This is really important if you want that transition from the vocal not being there to the vocal being there. You want it to smoothly come in. You don't want it to just start randomly. So what I did was I loaded the acapella into Edison and I cut the first note, the first word. I'm actually going to drag that in there, and it gave me this when I added reverb. So it's about to say close your eyes, right? And then within Edison, what I did, if I can find that channel, I always put it like miles away from everything else. I clicked tools and I went down to reverse, and that gave me this sound, which sounds really, really nice. So as you can see, it's going, oh, and it's going to say close your eyes, and it fits perfectly together.
Close your eyes.
Which again is a very hard style thing, you know, it's a hard style-esque vocal, so I wanted to make sure I got the processing and the transitions right for that to be as authentic as possible. Some other sounds that I added. Some classic choir sounds. I love these choir sounds from Nexus. I have Contact, but I don't use Contact for my choirs. I use this preset within EDM4 in Nexus. Does the trick for me. Processing will be pretty much the same, you know, roll off the lows, try and bring out some of the high end so it can be heard. Another thing we have is a techno loop. Basically, we've got a techno drop. I don't want to just jump into trance straight away. I want to have something which kind of connects the two, and I found this cool tech, kind of a tech trance loop. Quite dark. And what's going to happen with that is just going to fade away. But this transition is really, really nice.
Close your eyes, can you feel the vibration? We fly so high cause we're the fallen generation.
So that's the first part. It's a really nice, it's a listenable part for, you know, Spotify and things like that, but it also is a perfect energy killer. You know, we've gone crazy in the drops. We want to bring it down a little bit energy wise, and this is the perfect way to do that. Just have a vocal in there, lots of airy sounds, because we pick up the energy a lot in this next section. But before we get there, we're going to look at the transition, because I was really happy with how this turned out. So we need our big impact.
Fathers of creation.
Just got the impact there, and we turn on everything else.
No surprise, we are the fathers of creation.
So that is the pre-climax that I did. I knew I wanted to leave this big empty gap. I do this a lot in my sounds, especially with trance. You like to leave that emptiness, and then the big synths come in. So it's no different here. Found this one paired with this, which is a really nice crispy kind of layer. I love finding those glitch sounds and just putting them together. And all together it sounds really nice. So if you're out there just using one, for example this one, I strongly recommend you try add 3 or 4 more. I don't like to layer my leads too much, but when it comes to effects and stuff, I like to really pile on the layers, because it really just gives it more depth and sounds more creative as well. I think this is a perfect energy builder. Then we come to our main climax lead. Now this lead is a crazy one. I believe it's a Future Rave lead. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, it's called Future Rave Shooter. And this sound is crazy. What I did was I took the pads. As you can see, it's similar chords. I just wanted to make my own trancey melody. Something that was quite repetitive, but also catchy. Again, you hear that a lot in trance. Dun, 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 but the chords are moving. Also, some progressive house used to be a lot like this. Like the first bar would be the melody just repeated, kind of like an ARP. But the energy when this starts playing is really next level. I also bounced out one note, and as we said before, pretty much the same technique. Put loads of reverb on it, click reverse, and you get this reverse sound, which just again helps with the transition. Let's check out the processing real quick. We have British clean, not too much on the tube. I think the tube and the mech are literally just as standard. I've brought down the master though. I don't like to have my Camel Crusher on full whack. I feel like it's just a little bit too much with all the other stuff I add. Blood overdrive, because I want to make the sound more thick. We can actually check what it sounds like without all the processing first. So very clean, but not very mean. I needed this to be really hard and really, because all that plays in that section is that lead, so it really has to take control in that section. I've got the Arts Acoustic reverb, which is crazy high. I've left more of the high cut on because I want more of that high reverb to play. If it was in a drop, I'd probably bring that down to about 6,000 hertz, because I don't want too much. I want the lead to really be present there, but I want this like super spacey feel. Also, it's on about -3 dBs, which is very loud. Usually my drops are like -7 or something like that. We have